Marco Russo and Alberto Ferrari.
Yeah.
Hi.
I thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. You have established yourselves as the go-to experts around Microsoft Business Intelligence, analysis services, Power BI, and other related technologies.
Yeah.
I look to you, many people look to you for expert advice and guidance, and thank you so much for your contributions over the years.
You're welcome. Thanks
So your company is SqlBI.
Yes.
We're talking to people today about enterprise business intelligence using Microsoft tools. And so thinking about building large-scale solutions using the technologies that we've just talked about. Analysis services, particularly analysis services tabular, and Power BI. What are some of the challenges that you recognize, just either logistically or technically, for managing projects with multiple developers and being able to create formal projects that need to go through development, test, QA, production, etc.?
Okay, I will start from the first part, which is, I think, easy. Basically, today, every project is a single file, which is a Power BI file or a BIM file in Visual Studio. So there is no place to make it easy to split development between different developers. Now, this is true also for code in JavaScript, for example. But you have directives to split the file in different files, and you have tools to merge changes made by different developers at different moments. Now, this is technically possible also for a tabular model, at least if you are using analysis services. But because of the structure of and the size of these files, this is not actually very easy. And we're talking about a text file that nobody uses because everybody uses some other editor, a high-level editor, that is not integrated for this kind of team development so far. So it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. Every company tries to find a way to avoid that, maybe using tools like BIM Normalizer, which is a tool that it's a tool that you can install in Visual Studio. It's an add-in for Visual Studio now, which compares two versions of a BIM file or the BIM file against a deployed version of analysis services and shows you the difference, generating a script that will apply the difference over one of those two.
But it's not still very convenient to use.
It's just a workaround.
And this is a community-supported tool. It was developed primarily by Christian Wade, who is actually a program manager on the product team, and a great contribution.
But he wrote it before he was joining Microsoft.
Yes.
But now, in fact, at the beginning, it was, I think, paid. It was a mixed free and paid open source.
And then it became open source.
Now it is completely open
source.
All right.
So that is for Visual Studio right now. Other options might be that of...
For Power BI, you mean?
Well, for Power BI or for analysis services, that of working with community-generated software.
Oh, yes.
Because at the end, the BIM file is just a JSON representation.
It's just a file, but it's a file that has a particular object model, and there is an API provided by Microsoft, which is Tom, which is an API that can connect to analysis services and manage the model there. But the same API can load the model, this object model, from a JSON file. JSON is basically the representation on a file of these objects in memory that just describes the metadata. This is the description of the model in memory.
Yes.
And thanks to this library, there are tools like, for example, Tabular Editor, and also other smaller tools that actually provide some help. I think about Tabular Translator, which is just for translating.
Just for translation,
So
they're still not integrated, but at some point.
Let me ask this question. So, as an analysis services developer or Power BI developer, where I'm using tabular technology, I'm using DAX, within the Microsoft community, we've become accustomed to using community-supported tools because Microsoft publishes their APIs. They support community developers as opposed to some other platforms where all of the tools are locked down. You have to pay for everything. So let's just walk me through the tools that you would recommend that a developer at least look at and strongly consider to install to support a tabular model project.
I think that I cannot think about starting any project without having on my machine DAX Studio, Tabular Editor, and Vertipack Analyzer. Vertipack Analyzer is actually just an Excel file, which contains a Power Pivot model that reads the statistics and the model from analysis services or a Power BI database, providing me statistics about the tables, columns, number of rows, number of unique values, size in memory, distribution of data, list of DAX measures, calculated
and a lot
colors.
of details.
Many details that I can use to diagnose any possible issue that I can see with the other tools.
Right, and then you also mentioned Bism Normalizer.
And Bism Normalizer, yes, I forgot, but Bism Normalizer, yes.
DAX Editor too.
DAX Editor.
He said DAX Editor.
DAX Editor.
No, that was Tabular Editor.
I think we
there
have
are two different tools.
There are two different. Because Tabular Editor.
It's a long list.
The list is long, but let me recap. So DAX Studio is a tool to run a query.
And
we are running out of time.
I'm supposed to be doing a session in 10 minutes. We have to wrap up.
Okay. So DAX Studio is a tool to debug code, to debug queries. Tabular Editor is a tool to design new models. DAX Formatter is a service to format code that is called by Tabular Editor by DAX Studio. And DAX Editor is another add-in for Visual Studio to get just the list of the DAX measures in a single file when you want to do edits on
massive editing on your code.
Let me ask you this question in closing. Where do I go to get trained on using these tools and using these technologies?
You have to go on the web, on the web pages of these tools. Each tool usually has a documentation page. And actually, one of the biggest challenges we have is to increase that documentation today, because sometimes...
And where do I go for training on DAX and tabular model development?
Well, you can come to us, of course.
Right,
SqlBI, you have a lot of resources there.
SqlBI.com. We also have a page with all these tools, SqlBI.com/tools. And
you also have an excellent book, which is on my desk at work, and so I appreciate that contribution.
Yes.
All right, we need to wrap up because I'm supposed to be doing a session in just a few minutes.
Of course.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your contributions.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks.